Have you ever found yourself craving a quiet evening alone, even when you used to love the buzz of social gatherings? Maybe you've started saying no to invitations, not because you're angry or uninterested, but because something inside you has shifted. If that resonates, you're not alone, and you're definitely not broken. As we age, many of us, especially in our 60s, 70s, or beyond, begin to step back from the social circles we once cherished. It's not about losing your spark or turning into a hermit. It's about something deeper, something wiser, something you. In this video, we're diving into 6 profound psychological reasons why you might be avoiding people more as you age, and why that's not only normal, but often a sign of incredible personal growth. These aren't surface-level guesses or recycled cliches. Each reason is rooted in real human experiences, backed by psychological insights and illustrated with stories that might feel like they were pulled from your own life. Whether you're someone who's been quietly pulling back, or you're wondering why a loved one seems more distant, this video is for you. Here's what you can expect. We'll uncover why past betrayals create an invisible shield around your heart, and how that shield is a mark of strength, not weakness. We'll explore why idle chatter feels draining as you age, and why craving silence is a gift you've earned. You'll discover why feeling misunderstood by others can lead to cherishing your own company. We'll talk about the fear of being a burden, a quiet worry that changes how you connect with those you love. You'll see how old relationships naturally fade, not from conflict, but from life's gentle drift. And finally, we'll celebrate the joy of solitude, a discovery that can transform how you see yourself. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand why you're drawn to quieter moments, but also feel empowered to embrace them without guilt. We'll weave together real-life stories, psychological research, and practical reflections to give you clarity and compassion for this chapter of your life. So grab a cozy drink, settle in, and let's explore why stepping back from the crowd might just be one of the most insightful choices you've ever made. Don't skip ahead. Each reason builds on the last, and the final thoughts will tie it all together in a way you won't want to miss. Let's begin. As we move through life, we collect more than just laugh lines and gray hairs. We carry scars, some visible, most hidden. These aren't just from major betrayals like a friend who turned their back or a partner who broke your trust. Often they're the smaller cuts. The colleague who dismissed your ideas, the relative who ignored your pain, the neighbor who vanished when you needed them most. Over time, these moments pile up, forming a quiet armor around your heart. And as you age, that armor becomes less about keeping people out and more about protecting what's precious within you. Consider Margaret, a 78-year-old retiree from Ohio. In her younger years, her home was the heart of her community. She hosted book clubs, baked for church fundraisers, and was the first to organize neighborhood potlucks. But over the decades, she faced her share of letdowns. A close friend spread gossip about her family. Another stopped calling after Margaret's husband passed away. A cousin she confided in shared her secrets without a second thought. None of these were earth-shattering betrayals, but together they left a mark. Today, Margaret still loves people, but she's selective. She spends her mornings gardening or reading, savoring the calm of her own space. When asked why she's less social, she smiles and says, "I've learned who deserves my time and who doesn't." Psychologists call this relational discernment, a natural response to accumulated emotional experiences. It's not about holding grudges or shutting down. It's about recognizing that not everyone has earned a front-row seat in your life. Studies like those published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships in 2023 show that older adults often prioritize quality over quantity in relationships. After years of giving your heart freely, you start to notice patterns. Who reciprocates, who drains you, who leaves you feeling smaller. And with that awareness comes a choice to invest in connections that uplift you and step back from those that don't. This shift can feel heavy at first. You might wonder if you're becoming cynical or if you've lost your warmth. But here's the truth. Choosing solitude over shallow connections is an act of self-respect. It's wisdom earned through years of showing up, loving deeply, and sometimes being hurt. Margaret's story isn't unique. Across the U.S., older adults are redefining their social circles, not out of bitterness, but out of a desire for authenticity. They've seen how quickly people can change or disappear, and they've learned to guard their energy accordingly. So if you find yourself hesitating before RSVPing to that crowded event or declining a coffee date with someone who feels draining, pause and reflect. You're not closing off. You're curating. You're honoring the lessons of your past by choosing who gets to share your present. And that's not just okay, it's powerful. Reason 2, craving peace over idle chatter. Remember the days when you could sit through hours of small talk, chatting about the weather, gossiping about coworkers, or laughing at jokes that weren't all that funny? In your 20s or 30s, those conversations might have felt like the glue of social life. But as you age, something changes. The chatter that once filled the air starts to feel like noise. You find yourself longing for quiet, not because you're grumpy, but because silence has become a sanctuary. Take Robert, a 72-year-old former teacher from Colorado. In his career, he thrived on interaction, engaging students and colleagues with his quick wit. Social gatherings were his playground, but now Robert often skips the big family reunions or community events he once loved. When asked why, he chuckles and says, "I've had enough words thrown at me to last a lifetime. Now I just want conversations that mean something, or none at all." He's not avoiding people, he's seeking depth. And when depth isn't there, he'd rather listen to the wind in the trees than force a smile through another round of small talk. This shift is rooted in what psychologists call emotional energy conservation. As we age, our emotional resources become more precious. The need to perform, to entertain, to impress, to keep up with the crowd fades away. A 2024 study in psychology and aging found that older adults report higher satisfaction when they prioritize meaningful interactions over frequent ones. Silence, once awkward, becomes a gift. It's where you process your thoughts, reconnect with yourself, and find peace that no crowded room can offer. For many, this craving for peace is also about shedding societal expectations. In the U.S., we're often taught that being social is a sign of success. More friends, more parties, more likes on social media. But as you grow older, you realize that constant connection doesn't equal fulfillment. You start to value the moments when you can just be. No explanations, no obligations. Whether it's sipping coffee on your porch, tending to a hobby, or simply watching the world go by, these quiet moments recharge you in ways that noisy gatherings no longer do. If you've been dodging the happy hours or skipping the block parties, don't feel guilty. You're not withdrawing. You're prioritizing. You've earned the right to choose peace over performance, depth over distraction, and that choice is a testament to the clarity that comes with age. Reason 3, feeling misunderstood by the world. There's a moment in life when you look around and realize the world has changed, and so have you. The slang is unfamiliar, the technology feels like a foreign language, and the pace of conversations leaves you dizzy. But more than that, you might feel like people don't see you anymore. Your stories, your wisdom, your lived experiences, they seem to float past others, unnoticed. And when you feel unheard, it's natural to step back, to choose the comfort of your own company over the exhaustion of being overlooked. Meet Clara, an 80-year-old grandmother from Texas. Clara used to love hosting her grandkids, sharing tales of her life as a nurse during the 1960s. She'd talk about the challenges of raising 3 kids on a tight budget or the joy of community dances in her small town. But over time, she noticed her grandkids' eyes glazing over, their fingers itching for their phones. They'd nod politely but rarely ask questions. "It's not their fault," Clara says softly. "They're just in a different world. But it makes me feel like a ghost sometimes." So Clara started spending more time alone, journaling her memories or chatting with a neighbor who truly listens. This experience, known as emotional invalidation, is a subtle but powerful force. A 2023 study in the Gerontologist found that older adults often feel dismissed in social settings, not through outright rejection, but through small, cumulative moments, like a younger relative changing the subject or a friend brushing off a concern as overreacting. Over time, these moments teach you that sharing your thoughts might not be worth the effort, and so you retreat, not out of anger, but because your own space feels safer, where your voice doesn't need to compete to be heard. In the US, where youth and innovation are often celebrated, older adults can feel sidelined, their perspectives overshadowed by the latest trends. But here's the beauty. Stepping back doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're reclaiming your worth. You know the depth of your experiences, the weight of your wisdom, and if others can't see it, that's their loss, not yours. You might find solace in quieter connections, a friend who shares your history, a book club that values your insights, or even your own reflections. Because in your own presence, you are fully known. Reason 6, the joy of solitude. At some point, you stop chasing company and start cherishing solitude, not because you're lonely, but because you've discovered something rare. Your own presence is enough. After years of juggling work, family, and social obligations, you finally have the space to hear your own thoughts, follow your own rhythm, and simply be. And that space, it's sacred. Meet Arthur, an 83-year-old from Maine. In his younger days, Arthur was the life of the party, hosting barbecues and leading community events. But now he finds deeper joy in quieter moments, tending his vegetable garden, listening to classical music, or watching the tides roll in. "People think I'm lonely," he says with a laugh, "but I've got a whole world in my head to keep me company." Arthur's not avoiding connection. He still meets friends for coffee or calls his kids. But he's learned that solitude isn't empty. It's rich, full of memories, ideas, and peace. Psychologists call this chosen solitude, a deliberate embrace of alone time that fosters self-discovery. A 2024 study in the Journal of Positive Psychology found that older adults who value solitude report higher life satisfaction as it allows them to process their experiences and reconnect with their core selves. In a culture that often equates busyness with worth, choosing solitude is an act of rebellion. It's saying, "I don't need to fill every moment to feel complete." For many, this joy comes from shedding the pressure to perform. You no longer feel the need to entertain, to prove yourself, or to be on all the time. You can spend an afternoon lost in a hobby, a book, or your own thoughts, and it feels like a gift. And when you do connect with others, it's because you want to, not because you have to. That freedom is one of the greatest rewards of aging. Reason 5, the quiet fade of old relationships. Not all relationships end in drama or heartbreak. Some simply drift away, like leaves carried by a gentle stream. You don't plan for it, and there's no single moment you can pinpoint. But one day you realize the friends who filled your calendar, the ones you laughed with, confided in, leaned on, are no longer part of your daily rhythm. And as you age, that drift can feel both natural and bittersweet. Consider Ellen, a 74-year-old from Oregon. For decades, she and her best friend Susan were inseparable. They raised their kids together, shared vacations, and called each other weekly. But as their lives evolved, Ellen dove into painting, Susan moved to care for her grandkids. Their calls became less frequent. There was no falling out, no argument, just a quiet understanding that their paths had diverged. "We still love each other," Ellen says, "but we're not the same people we were at 40. Now Ellen finds joy in her art classes and a few close neighbors, choosing connections that align with who she is today. This phenomenon, known as social network pruning, is well documented. A 2023 study in Social Psychology Quarterly found that older adults naturally reduce their social circles, focusing on relationships that feel meaningful in the present. It's not about loss, it's about evolution. The friends you bonded with over shared seasons, parenting, careers, neighborhoods, may not fit the person you're becoming, and that's okay. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It means you're honoring your growth. In the US, where social media often pushes the idea of more friends, more fun, this shift can feel countercultural. But there's freedom in it. You start to choose quality over quantity, depth over obligation. You might find that a single heartfelt conversation with a new friend brings more joy than a crowded reunion with old acquaintances. And in that choice, you're not just letting go. You're making space for what truly matters. Reason 6, the joy of solitude. At some point, you stop chasing company and start cherishing solitude, not because you're lonely, but because you've discovered something rare. Your own presence is enough. After years of juggling work, family, and social obligations, you finally have the space to hear your own thoughts, follow your own rhythm, and simply be. And that space, it's sacred. Meet Arthur, an 83-year-old from Maine. In his younger days, Arthur was the life of the party, hosting barbecues and leading community events. But now he finds deeper joy in quieter moments, tending his vegetable garden, listening to classical music, or watching the tides roll in. People think I'm lonely, he says with a laugh, but I've got a whole world in my head to keep me company. Arthur's not avoiding connection. He still meets friends for coffee or calls his kids. But he's learned that solitude isn't empty. It's rich, full of memories, ideas, and peace. Psychologists call this chosen solitude, a deliberate embrace of alone time that fosters self-discovery. A 2024 study in the Journal of Positive Psychology found that older adults who value solitude report higher life satisfaction as it allows them to process their experiences and reconnect with their core selves. In a culture that often equates busyness with worth, choosing solitude is an act of rebellion. It's saying, I don't need to fill every moment to feel complete. For many, this joy comes from shedding the pressure to perform. You no longer feel the need to entertain, to prove yourself, or to be on all the time. You can spend an afternoon lost in a hobby, a book, or your own thoughts, and it feels like a gift. And when you do connect with others, it's because you want to, not because you have to. That freedom is one of the greatest rewards of aging. So, where do these 6 reasons leave you? Maybe you've seen yourself in Margaret's guarded heart, Robert's love for quiet, Clara's longing to be heard, George's fear of burdening others, Ellen's drifting friendships, or Arthur's embrace of solitude. Or maybe you've recognized a loved one in these stories, gaining a new lens on their choices. Wherever you are, I hope this video has reminded you of something vital. Stepping back from people as you age isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of transformation. You've walked through decades of life, loving, hurting, growing, learning. Those years have given you the right to be intentional, to protect your peace, to choose connections that light you up. There's no shame in craving solitude, in saying no to what drains you, or in letting go of relationships that no longer fit. You're not retreating, you're aligning. You're honoring the person you become with all your wisdom, scars, and quiet strength. As you move forward, take a moment to reflect. Which of these reasons hit closest to home? What's one small step you can take to embrace your needs? Whether it's reaching out to a true friend, carving out time for yourself, or letting go of guilt? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your story, your voice matters, and reading your reflections inspires us and others in this community. If this video spoke to you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into life's big questions. Sharing this video with someone who might need it is another way to spread understanding and connection. Your support keeps this channel growing, allowing us to create more content that uplifts, informs, and empowers. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for walking this journey with us. You're not alone. There's a whole community out there, quietly navigating these changes with courage and grace. We'll see you in the next video.